Thank you all for joining today. My name is Chris Davis. I am one of the assistant directors of undergraduate admission here at Cal Lutheran University. And today we're just going to talk about a little information that is helpful for you all as you continue to go through your college process. This is one of the 3 parts of our Next Stop College series. So next Friday on August 18th, as well as August 25th, we will also have some presentations coming from folks from my office more specifically. The second one will be a little bit about the cost and how to manage those things when searching for a college. And then the third part of the series will be actually a helpful presentation regarding how to apply to colleges and what things to add and look for to put into your personal statement. So again, this is the first part of the 3-part series that we have going on. Also, too, throughout the presentation, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I will take some time at the end to actually go ahead and answer any of the questions that you all provide for me, if there is any. So we'll take some time to answer those questions at the end there. Let's go ahead and dive in to the material here. So as I said before, this presentation will be geared towards a little bit more focused on the college process, how to select a college, and what factors and useful things to look at when selecting colleges. So there are over about 5,300 colleges and universities in the United States. So there are a lot to choose from, right? Whether it be private, public, in-state, out-of-state, you name it. There's a lot of different things that make up a college and university, but also there's a lot to choose from in the end. So how do I find the right college for me? We'll talk about those things and discuss some of those questions and factors that go into that, but also too, I know some of you might have an idea of where you'd like to go, but how do you get in? We'll also cover some different things that'll be helpful and give you some tips on how to go about those things throughout your process and selecting colleges. So first and foremost, I just want to share the agenda with you all. The first thing that we will actually be talking about is identifying things that are important for you all when selecting colleges and what to look at. The second thing will be understanding your options. The third will be getting into the college that you want. And then the last thing that we'll cover today on the agenda is top advice for a successful search and how to go about that and making your list. So identifying what's important to you. So it's really helpful to understand what it is that you are searching for in a college or university. Obviously, it's very important that you have a list and you develop a list, but when you're going through and actually putting schools onto your list, it's really helpful and time consuming. But if you're able to actually focus on schools and the things that they have and what you're looking for, and fulfilling the needs that you have, it can actually save time for you. So you're not having to worry about making extensive lists and it taking up too much time. So identifying your search criteria would be the first step that I think would be beneficial and crucial for students who are looking at colleges. One thing that I would like to say and just preface is that these are things that are helpful, but also too, there are many other factors, right, that can be very important when, searching out a college and finding the right criteria for you. One thing could be the majors that are offered. So the areas of study, right? If you're an individual who's interested in STEM subjects, or also maybe if you're interested in becoming a teacher or a doctor or psychology, whatever the case may be for you, please try to figure out what the areas of strength are in the academic programs at the universities that you're looking at, right? Those things are very, very important so that you're getting the educational experience that you're wanting and searching for. Location, right? How far do you want to go? Do you want to stay in the same state that you're currently going to high school in? Do you want to go out of state? Do you want to go across the state, across the country? So you want to factor in how far you want to go and where the school is located more specifically. Size is very important to folks, so keep that in consideration as well. Do you want to go to a smaller institution that has a population of about 5,000 or less, a medium-sized institution where it could be between 5,000 and 15,000 folks? And then there's those larger institutions, right, where there's more than about 15,000 students that make up the student population. So size is also a crucial beneficiary and factor for folks when looking at an institution. So another helpful tip to kind of identify your search criteria. Reputation, right? So universities are ranked regardless if they like it or not. So you can actually see publications, articles, and different unique rankings that make up colleges and what's unique to them and things that they have that are great, but also things that they need to improve on. So definitely take advantage of those things, especially as they're made public to you all. And then athletics is another thing, especially if you are interested in being an athlete. But not only that, if you are an athlete, that's great. But also if you'd like to be someone who wants to just be a part of the community and support your university, some helpful things to think about, whether it be on the field or also too off the field and in the stands in the community. Religious affiliation, the institution in which I work for, we are a private faith-based institution. So if that's something that's interesting to you, but also can be not interesting to you, those are things to consider. And then the different ways to be involved in the campus and embrace that campus community, right? All the different events that they may be having and all the activities that they provide to their students is another way in which you can identify your search criteria for the universities that you're interested in. Some other things to consider and things not to forget is the campus environment. So what does it feel like to be on campus? Is it very active every single day of the week? Does it get quiet on the weekends? During the week in the school year, are they having those different events that we talked about, right? What can you do on the weekend? Do they have a mall? Do they have a movie theater in a great range? Different things for you to enjoy and do on the weekend so you can separate from the campus community. Also different things like how will you stay active, not only physically, but also to different ways for you to be engaged and enjoy the things that you want to do outside of the classroom, as well as the things that you're doing inside the classroom. As we kind of discussed a little bit earlier, academic opportunities. So if you're interested in continuing your education and achieving a higher education degree, how are they going to prep you for grad school or potentially also getting a doctorate degree if those things are aspirations for you? And then also too, what the faculty relationship will be like, right? So will faculty members help you find internships and connect with you in the class, or will it be challenging for you to do so? Will they connect you to employers, sign letter recommendations for you? All of those different things are things that are important and should be considered as well. And then, like we said a little bit, the different ways to be involved. So they do have a lot of clubs and organizations for you to actively be a member in, but also are there things that are contributing to the campus community activity-wise that will be interesting, but also things that you care about while you're experiencing that college for all 4 years. So understanding your options, right? So it's really crucial that we learn about all the different educational options that students have. So first and foremost, right, there are community colleges that students can actually attend, which are great options for students. A lot of universities do have transfer programs and transfer options for students, so that can be a route for you. There are free tuition opportunities, trade programs more specifically. So if you're interested in like automotive, maybe welding, different things of that nature, there could be some great trade programs that students can take advantage of where they wouldn't necessarily have to attend a four-year university. And then, like I mentioned before, right, those transfer agreements are very crucial so that maybe you can attend for 1 year or 2 years at a community college and then transfer into a university of your liking and continue and receive your degree there. Also to consider California versus other states, depending on where you're going in regards to community college. Those are things that you need to keep in mind whether you're going to stay here in state if you are from California, but also vice versa as well. And then also too, very crucial is that I know this process is very long and it's very important, but also to give yourself the time to explore all the different options. I feel like students and families are usually the most satisfied when they've gone through the process and not have to be rushed at any point during this process. So give yourself some time, give yourself some grace to explore your options and see all the amazing opportunities that will be afforded to you. So public colleges and universities, of course, you can receive bachelor's degrees, but also get those different opportunities, whether it be grad programs, like I said before, but also to the doctorate programs. You have to keep in consideration that they will be state funded. So here in California, more specifically, what you'll see is that there's options in regards to Cal State's also known as CSUs, but then also to the UCs, more specifically in California. And then, of course, they're all made up of different sizes, some very large, some on a little bit more on the medium scale, just depends. So keep that in consideration as you're looking at public colleges and universities. It's really, really helpful, especially if you're going in-state or out of state, to consider what the in-state or out-of-state tuition would be. Those are also driving factors sometimes when folks are making decisions in the long run. So just little helpful tips for you all to consider, especially when you're looking at public colleges and universities. So private and independent colleges are other options as well. So you can actually attend a private or independent college if that's something that you're interested in. Usually they are a little bit smaller in regards to the university, but also can be liberal arts or research institutions. Most of the time they are faith-based in setting. So it's something to keep in consideration as you are actually looking at private and independent colleges more specifically. The amazing thing and the great opportunity that students have when they attend these private and independent colleges is that there's that specialized academics offerings that usually students have, and more specifically in the study areas that we have. So an example I can give you at the university in which I'm currently at, we actually have emphasis areas for students to study. So an example I can give you is I can be a psychology major, but maybe I know specifically I want to work more closely with student athletes. I could actually have an emphasis area in sports psychology more specifically. So really unique offerings for students when it comes to the private and independent sector. So definitely take a deep dive and see what they have to offer when it comes to their specialized academics. There is a high emphasis and focus on completing, I definitely say. I think that's one of the benefits of having that smaller community, is that you have an access to faculty members, internships, if you want to conduct research or do study abroad opportunities. All those things are made available to you, but also in the realm in which that we're making sure that you need to take care of all the things that you need to do so that you can leave from our university with your degree. And then also too, we can set you up for whatever that next step in your life is. Other things to consider, especially too, when it comes to private and independent colleges, is the unique financial aid opportunities. An example I can give you for us is that we have a public prize promise scholarship in which that students actually who qualify for that will receive a scholarship amount at the average cost of a UC cost of attendance. So the great thing for private and independent colleges is that they have a little bit more flexibility to offer some unique financial aid opportunities to students. And then also too, to consider the option of the interdisciplinary studies, very unique for students to take advantage of, because in the end, it gives you an opportunity to kind of create your own major and get the academic experience in which you want, so that it translates to your career exploration when you leave that campus. So getting into the college that you want, right? And also to understanding how you can get to know the admissions office of that. You can use these helpful tips in the end so that you can get in successfully. So most students that I come across and families are always wondering, you know, how are admission folks like myself looking at students? What do they consider? What does their university consider more specifically? And the awesome thing is that every school is different. So whatever university or college that you are interested in as a student, definitely take a look and pick the brains of folks like myself. We're always happy to share these opportunities and questions that you all have, but it's always important to understand what the approach is and how different colleges and admissions offices are ultimately reviewing applications. So as you can see here, there are 3 different ways in which folks can review applications. Holistic, which is the university that I am at, Cal Lutheran, we actually do a holistic review more specifically. So the GPA and the test scores and the things that you're doing in the classroom are only just one part of our admission process, right? So we look at you as an individual and who you are inside and outside the class, and we take that into consideration more specifically. So we're not only focusing on your grades and the things you're doing inside the classroom, but also all the amazing things that you do outside the classroom. So if you're involved in different clubs, if you work in your free time, if you're a big brother or sister and you have to help with family duties, like all of those things matter to us, and we want to take those things into consideration to see how, one, our university can help you and impact you in your studies, but also vice versa, and how you can serve our campus community and make it a better place as well. Some universities also do a automatic decision, which is where if you meet the qualifications and the requirements, you're admitted. It's as simple as those things. They're not doing and taking into consideration all the extra things that I just talked about, more so that maybe a holistic school would do. As long as you meet the requirements and all the things that they have set for you to be admitted, if you do, you will be admitted, and it's automatic there. So also too, just to keep in consideration, I know some universities are highly selective, so you'll have to pass first and foremost, the GPA test before you can continue to move forward with the review. They have a set criteria of, what type of students are coming to their university, what their GPA is, and then in order for you to progress through the admission process, you're going to have to meet those basic requirements. So just key things to remember when looking at colleges and their review process: are they holistic? Are they automatic? But also too, are they highly selective at these colleges that I'm looking at and have interest in? And again, at any point throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll have a Q&A option at the end there. So tailor your application. I always am amazed sometimes because folks are always intimidated by individuals like myself who are, admission counselors. At the end of the day, we are human beings. We read every single word that you're going to put on your application. And it's a great opportunity for you to tell us your story, right? All the things that make you unique as a student, all the interests that you have, and all the great ideas that you have. Be sure to tell your story in every space that you have on your application, especially if you have an opportunity to write freely about those things. It's also important too, just to familiarize yourself with the application which you're filling out. So some institutions are on the Common Application. Some folks have applications on their specific website. I know for some universities that are CSUs and also UCs, there might be one application that you have to fill out and it goes to all of them, or one specific. So just keep those things in perspective, and also too, it's really helpful just because it allows you to understand the requirements that an institution will have when it comes to the application process. So here in this next slide, I just want to give some advice and some helpful tips that will be useful in regards to having a successful search. So the first thing is to consider just the times in which you are applying, right? So a lot of folks always wonder, should I apply early if a campus has an early action or early decision notification process? I definitely encourage it if that's something that you're interested in. But also to just consider the different time periods in which you're going to be applying for at specific universities. So in early decision, once you get your specific decision from that campus, you're going to have to commit to them by a specified date that they provide to you. So early decision would be that kind of course of action. The main difference I tell you between early action and early decision is that in the early action period, as you can see here, right, it's actually non-binding. So you actually get to continue to go through your application process, see what other universities you've been admitted to, maybe see what your financial aid package is going to look like for you more specifically, so you can see if you have any out-of-pocket expenses. So those would be the main things that I would tell you between those two. Early decision, once you get your decision, you have a specified date to make your decision. Early action, non-binding, you actually can continue to go through your process and not have to worry about making a decision until the May 1 date. Rolling decision is actually really helpful as well for folks. It's actually a process in which your application is reviewed kind of once it's received. Some places have rolling decision where maybe if you apply like in the spring or the summer before the school starts, they can still review your application and give you an admission decision or not. So these are the three different kind of timelines to always remember. Early decision, early action, there's also rolling decision, and then the regular decision deadline as well. There's always this question that folks ask me, students usually more specifically, is should I always apply during these early action or early decision periods? Like, should I always be applying as soon as possible? And the answer is, honestly, it's up to you in this consideration. I always say for folks, if you feel like your application is complete and you're able to put your best self forward, please go through with that process. One thing that's really helpful to keep in mind, especially for these early decision or early action periods, is that sometimes scholarships are actually applied to this. So if you apply during these periods, you actually can be consideration under consideration for certain scholarships versus if you apply during the regular decision deadline, you may not be under consideration for that specific scholarship. So take a look, do some research on the college or institution you're interested in. See if there's any benefits to applying during these early periods. Not only will you get your decision, but it's also really helpful and awesome to be under consideration for specialized scholarships as well that are applied during these deadlines. So here are just some different keys of success that I'd also offer to folks who are going through this admission process and application process is get to know the place. If you're able to visit a campus, go to any of their admitted student events, definitely take up that opportunity. I feel like there's almost a special bond that an individual can feel with a campus once they're there. That can also be like a determining factor in making a decision of where you would like to go. Maybe you've visited a few different colleges, but at this specific place, it just felt right inside and within yourself. So it's really helpful to go ahead and get on college campuses, take tours, and also take advantage of those visit opportunities. What's really awesome too, as I was saying before, is folks like myself in these positions are always happy to be a resource to you all. So always make that contact with your admission counselor if you're able to. I know at some universities it may be a little bit more challenging, but definitely, use us as resources, pick our brains, ask us questions. We're here to serve you at the end of the day and make sure that you're getting the experience that you want to, because deciding where you're going to go and attend the college is a very big decision. So please use us as folks who you can rely on and ask questions. I'd also encourage folks to get connected with current students and professors on that campus. You'd be amazed at how many of these individuals are actually open to discussing their lived experiences with folks who are interested in their university. I feel you get no better experience and advice from anyone on a college campus except those who are current students, because they're the ones that are living it every single day, more specifically. So definitely utilize the current students and professors if their contact info is made available to you, or also if they have any chat services made available to students as they're incoming to the university. I'd also say just be open to options. Don't narrow your search too quickly and kind of fixate on, a specific school or a few schools. It's always nice to have your list, but also to keep your options open. You never know who can come in at a later date with maybe an amazing financial aid package. Also to give you an opportunity to visit the campus at a later date so that you can actually see what it's about. So always keep those things in mind when going through this process. It's okay to submit multiple applications as well, like I said before, especially if a school is a early action school and you applied during that deadline. They're going to be non-binding, so you can continue to go through your process and fill it out before you have to make that decision at a later date. And ultimately too, it's okay to change your mind. I mean, you might think that you're going to be set on a university one day at the beginning of the process, but at a later date, you know what, you want to change your mind, that's totally fine. Whatever feels the best for you and gives you the experience and best opportunity for you to be successful. Ultimately, that's what colleges and admission folks like myself want you to experience and have at the end of the day. And then also too, just remember that colleges can be selective. So have honest and realistic expectations for yourself. But at the end of the day, right throughout this entirety of the process, focus on yourself more specifically. Make sure that you're giving yourself grace and breaks through this process as you're writing personal statements, filling out applications. Be graceful to yourself and always focus on yourself in this process more specifically. And if there's any last kind of word of advice that I would give anybody who's going through the college application process at any university is just enjoy it. It can be stressful, but at the end of the day, this is a process that's very rewarding, not only for students and their families, but also for universities, because they get to experience you and what you're going to bring to their university in the next 4 years or 2 years or 3 years, whatever the case may be for you as you attend that university. So with that all being said, I just want to open this opportunity for any questions, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have. I'm looking at the chat now. I don't see anything here more specifically. But if you do have a question, please feel free to go ahead and type it in the chat. But also too, you should have an opportunity to maybe unmute yourself and ask a question if need be as well. So I do want to open the floor for any questions in the chat, or also too, feel free to go ahead and ask and unmute yourself. Let's see a question here. So does, the question was asked, does Cal Lutheran participate in early action or early decision? We are actually an early action university. So we allow students to continue to go through their process. We are non-binding. The one thing that I would tell you is that if you are interested in applying to Cal Lutheran, is that we do have our presidential scholarship kind of tied into our early action period. It can go up to full tuition, which is a huge deal. So I always tell folks, if you're able to definitely apply during the early action period. You'll get your decision in early January, but also you'll be under consideration for a major scholarship as well. So great question. Any other questions? Let's see here. Got another one. So it says, if you are from another country, great question. You still are able to apply during the early action period, even if you are an international student. Someone asked a question here, what are the qualifications that make a student eligible for a presidential scholarship? So I will tell you that for the full tuition amount of the scholarship, it tends to go to the individuals who we consider more of like the top tier of our applicant pool. That's not only specific on academics. As you continue to apply for and go through the process of the presidential scholarship, you actually do an interview with my office and also to some on-campus partners, and you are actually awarded after the review of those interviews. So again, it isn't only dependent on grades. More specifically, which I appreciate, is that you continue to go through a process so that we can get to know you more specifically. But great question. All right, you got another question here. It says, do students pay the tuition before school starts or after? So for us, more specifically, we actually allow students to develop like payment plans, so it can actually go through a certain time period. Definitely can get ahead of it before the school year starts, but we have different options when it comes to the payment plans. So whatever fits a little bit more closely to you and maybe your family, you can enroll in regards to those different payment plans. Any other questions or anything I can answer for you all? Let's see, we got another one. Okay, we got a few more. Awesome. So what is the support like for Muslim students at Cal Lutheran? I hear Cal Lutheran is supportive of all faiths despite being affiliated with the Lutheran Church. So yes, that is a true statement, which I appreciate for our campus and the buildup of our campus community and foundation. It is very diverse. We have students coming from all over the world and also of many faiths. We have about 36 different faiths kind of represented here on our campus. More specifically, in regards to any like specific clubs and organizations, more specifically, I don't know any of the top of my head, but I am sure that they do exist here on our campus. We do have, like I said before, if you are an international student, a great deal of international folks, so you'll actually have like peers who you can build community with and have support systems with. More specifically, I'd encourage you to go on our website and see the list of different cultural programs and organizations that we have at our campus here, and I think you'd more than likely be able to find something of interest for you more specifically. Does Cal Lutheran give athletic scholarships? So we are an NCAA Division III institution, so we don't provide athletic scholarships. You'll still be eligible to receive like academic scholarships, get outside scholarships, and also different sources of financial aid. But unfortunately, we do not give like athletic scholarships. Let's see here, we got another question. So is 4-year housing possible at Cal Lutheran? It definitely is. I would say that I see a lot of students staying on campus all 4 years, which is really helpful just because in the surrounding area, it can be a little bit expensive. How it works is as students actually progress from like our first year dorms into more like apartment style dorms. So as you kind of continue to progress to the university, you actually get more into the higher level of like junior, senior, sophomore, junior, and senior dorms. Like I said before, which present and are actually a little bit more apartment style. So yes, it isn't uncommon for folks to stay on campus all 4 years. I'd also say, if you definitely are interested, you can hop on our website and actually see a 360 view of the different dorms that we have on our campus and actually see what it's like inside the rooms and kind of the setup there. Great question. Can you go to Cal Lutheran and not be religious? Correct, you definitely can. Although we have Lutheran in our middle name, you do not have to be of Lutheran faith. We're very open at our university in regards to those different things, so you do not have to be a religious individual. Something that I like to tell folks is that your faith exploration is something that you get to do on our campus, not something that you have to do on our campus. I will also let you know that there are 2 different like religion requirements that you have to take on our campus, but they aren't specific to like Lutheranism or like Catholicism or anything like that. They're actually very unique topics. One that's very popular on our campus is a class that's actually tailored to the specific meaning of foods in religion. So they're all about kind of like higher seeing and higher arcing more subjects more specifically. Great question. Any last questions before we hop off? Okay. Oh, we got one more here. Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much for joining. I will let you all know that this webinar has been recorded, so you will have a copy made available to you if you ever want to utilize it for any points or anything like that. I will also say that you can get my specific info here. So if you ever need me for anything, please feel free to shoot me an email and I'd be happy to connect with you about any questions that you may have. But thank you so much for all of you joining and taking the time to chat with me today. Please enjoy the rest of your day and thank you so much. Take care.